She's been called one of the most fearless women in the automotive world, a record breaker, a Hollywood actress, a self-taught builder who turned a tiny garage into a launchpad for world records. Millions of people have watched her push supercars past their limits, dominate quarter-mile strips, and walk onto major film sets, but almost none of them know the full story behind how she got there. Before the sponsorships, before the Sony blockbuster, before the twin-turbo Corvette that rewrote the record books, there was a girl growing up in the Midwest with a painful home life, a father she was losing in slow motion, and no real path forward. Emelia Hartford didn't arrive at the top because everything went right. She arrived because she refused to let everything that went wrong become her ending. What she's been through would have broken most people. This is the story they don't put in the highlight reel. Emelia grew up in the Midwest, the daughter of a Caribbean-Italian father and a French-German mother. From the outside, it might have looked like an ordinary upbringing. It wasn't. Behind closed doors, she experienced both physical and mental abuse, and the effects followed her everywhere. Depression and anxiety took root early, two things she'd carry for years before she'd ever talk about them publicly. The home environment was unstable, and school wasn't much better. She moved between schools so often that stability felt like a foreign concept. Amid all of it, there was one constant: her father's love for cars. He was the one who first introduced her to the idea that a machine could be more than transportation. It could be power, beauty, escape. She held on to that, even as everything around her began to fall apart. And things were about to get a lot worse. Her father was the kind of man who could make a bad situation feel manageable, until a motorcycle accident took that from him. The crash left his entire left side paralyzed. For a man defined by his physicality and his passion for mechanics, the loss was devastating. He struggled badly in the aftermath, and his mental health deteriorated in ways the family couldn't fully contain. Then, when Emelia was around 15 years old, he took his own life. There's no soft way to put that. She found herself a teenager, stripped of her father, bouncing between schools, eventually relocating to Indiana just to find some kind of new footing. Most kids that age are worried about prom and grades. Emelia was carrying grief that most adults couldn't handle. She changed high schools 4 times. She kept moving because staying still with that kind of pain simply wasn't an option. But Indiana would give her something unexpected. Indiana gave her something she hadn't anticipated: a car community. She found people obsessed with the same thing her father had loved, and for the first time in years, something clicked. Cars stopped being just a memory of him and started becoming her identity. She eventually moved to California, chasing an acting career. Small roles here and there, enough to stay on the SAG-AFTRA roster but not enough to pay the bills. So she waited tables. For years, she was a struggling actress carrying trays, not taking curtain calls. She'd come home after a shift, walk into her garage and just work. It was the one place where nothing hurt. No rejection letters, no dead-end auditions, no grief. Just metal, grease, and the slow satisfaction of building something real with her hands. She didn't know yet that the garage would become the stage that changed absolutely everything about her life. The turning point came from an unlikely source. Tire manufacturer Michelin spotted her Instagram content and flew her to New York to help launch a performance tire. At the event, she met established car influencers who told her to get a camera and start filming. She went home, spent the last of her savings on that camera, and launched her YouTube channel on January 18, 2017. What followed wasn't overnight success. It was a grind that most people would have quit. She produced her first 250 videos entirely by herself, planning, shooting, editing, uploading, all of it alone. She barely slept. About a year in, she quit waitressing, terrified she couldn't make rent. Instead of pulling back, she doubled down. The channel began to grow, slowly at first, then faster. For the first time, the future felt like something she was actually building. Then life reminded her it wasn't done testing her. July 2019 was supposed to be a chapter of momentum. The channel was growing, her story was gaining traction, and the future finally looked like something she'd built rather than something that just happened to her. Then her brother Ryan took his own life. In one moment, the same devastating loss she'd survived as a teenager returned. Only now she was in the public eye, with a community watching. She didn't disappear, she kept creating. But anyone who's heard her speak about it can see the weight those words carry. Losing a parent is something people can understand. Losing a sibling to the same cause years later is a different kind of devastation entirely, one that forces questions without clean answers. Instead of collapsing under it, she made a decision. She would channel that grief into something purposeful. What she built next, both personally and mechanically, would become the most powerful statement of her career. Out of a small personal garage, Emelia built something major automotive companies with full engineering teams couldn't match. She called it Phoenix, a twin-turbo C8 Corvette that she pushed until it broke the world record for quickest C8 in the quarter mile. The name wasn't accidental. She appeared on Netflix's Fastest Car, judged at SEMA's Battle of the Builders, and locked in brand partnerships with Chevrolet and Pennzoil. Then came the call that almost no one in her position ever receives. Sony cast her in Gran Turismo, a major theatrical release directed by Neil Blomkamp, starring alongside Orlando Bloom and David Harbour. It opened #1 at the box office in August 2023. The woman who had waited tables to survive was now headlining a Hollywood blockbuster. She'd rebuilt herself from nothing, twice, and now the whole world was watching. And she was just getting started. In December 2024, Emelia set her sights on a brand new target, the quarter-mile world record for the new generation Nissan Z. She built the car herself, in her own garage, in just 57 days. The result was 7.75 seconds at 181.85 miles per hour, making her the fastest Nissan Z in the world. In 2025, she was selected for the inaugural Formula E Evo Sessions, a program pairing creators and athletes with professional Formula E teams. Assigned to Maserati MSG Racing and Training alongside a world champion, she won the entire competition and was named Grand Champion. She then made her professional debut at the legendary Pikes Peak International Hill Climb, qualified on pole, and finished second in class in her very first race. Every record she breaks in a car she built herself. Every stage she walks onto, she walked there on her own terms. Emelia Hartford's story isn't about cars and speed. It's about what happens when someone refuses to let the worst chapters of their life write the final one. She lost her father to tragedy as a teenager. She watched her brother follow the same path years later. She spent years invisible, waiting tables, hoping for a break that felt like it would never arrive. Through all of it, she built. She built cars, she built a channel, she built a career that most people in her position never get. And now she's building something for others, working toward a foundation for people battling depression and anxiety, turning private grief into public purpose. The records will keep getting broken. The projects will keep getting bigger. But what makes Emelia Hartford genuinely worth watching isn't the horsepower or the headlines. It's the fact that she's still here, still going, after everything that tried to stop her.